As per usual, the second hour on a Tuesday, very informative, and we get the ball rolling with our Digipreneur, Keron Rose. He joins me on the Zoom line. Good morning, Keron. Great to see you as per usual.
JW, thank you for having me once again.
Great to have you, man. Let me tell you, today's topic, very interesting. Simply says companies are wilding. I have no idea what direction we're going this morning with this. Why are companies wilding? Is this the case? What's going on? Can you please elaborate for us, Keron Rose?
Yes. So the companies are wilding really started because just about a year ago, I remember people would just keep on sending me job descriptions within the marketing and business space where you're seeing companies, they're asking for multiple specializations out of people and they're cramming it into one role. So you would see job posts that's asking for like a marketing assistant, but they want a graphic designer, a videographer. Then you'd see things like you have to be able to lift 60 pounds, you have to wait tables. And you're like, what is really going on? What are these companies actually asking for? And we just kept on seeing all of these hybrid roles where you have a wide variety of specializations being packed into one role that would usually require a team. And then when you're looking at the salary, you're seeing a salary getting less than $10,000 a month. So people would get hired, you would see the role disappear for like 3-4 months and then reappear back on the job market. And we're starting to see companies rehiring for roles years down the line. As early as 2018, we are seeing some of these roles being advertised every couple of months.
So what's the suggestion? What's the solution there? Because obviously there are certain titles, certain, I guess, aspects of a job that will be a specialization. So let's say a videographer or a graphics person, that might be their particular forte, but to ask someone to strike that balance and to do all that might be a bit unreasonable. How do we amend and kind of bring a little order into that trend?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely the reason for the discussion. So there's a lot of roles that we are seeing. Now, remember, we're living in this new world, this digital world, where there's a lot of new roles and positions that are being created. But because companies haven't really taken the time to flesh out exactly what are those new roles that they do need within the organization and how to make them work within the organization, they're not putting enough resources to learning what these roles are about. So they're just kind of smacking them all together to kind of justify having that person internally. They know they might need the graphic designer, the web developer, the digital marketer, the e-commerce specialist. So they're putting it all into one. So companies now need to spend some real resources with their human resource team to learn exactly what are these roles about and how to make them work within the organization. But not every single role do they have to hire a full-time person for. Some of these roles, like we know that we use social media every single day and we have to create content. Rather than trying to hire a full-time person and give them 6 roles into one, you could now start to work with freelancers. You could work with remote workers. You could work with part-timers. So I think companies now need to spend significant time learning more about the different roles that are coming out, but also the different types of work that are available, because you don't have to get a full-timer for every single position within your company.
What advice do you give to the person who is an all-rounder, who can actually do all the roles, graphics, web design, marketer, versed with social media? Do they sometimes, would you advise that they keep it kind of to themselves so they wouldn't be taken advantage of? Like, what's the advice you could tell someone who can actually fit the bill and handle all that's thrown at them?
That is a great question, because the next piece of advice goes out to the potential employees. And people need to, I know it's easier said than done, but people need to learn their worth. You need to know your value. You need to know when a role is going to set you up for success or whether that role is going to set you up for failure. Because even within my own business, I handle the web development, I handle the search engine optimization, the digital marketing, the e-commerce. I have a wide variety of skill sets. Doing it for my business is one thing, but when you're being tasked to do it for an entire organization, it really gets out of hand because of the volume of work that is required for a lot of these different roles. So you need to know your value. And if you are walking into a situation where multiple skill sets are being required of you, you need to make sure, one, you're being compensated for what you are being asked to do. But then two, you also need to know whether or not the scope of works is something that you're able to handle. Because if you walk into a situation where you're being asked to do multiple things and you cannot handle the workload, you're ultimately going to either burn out, you're going to get stressed, or you're going to fail the company's objectives. And whether you quit, the company might let you go thinking that you failed at what you are doing. And again, nobody wins that situation because the companies are back to rehiring every couple of months and you're back job hunting every couple of months.
Well, Keron, I'm going to throw a real curveball at you now because I want to find out with this big conversation now with artificial intelligence, AI, and I'm sure they will continue to make additions and to advance AI as we know it. What we're seeing today might be different to what's happening next year, next 2 years. Would AI make some of these roles null and void and make that human touch one that is now irrelevant?
Great question again. So I think with AI is not going to replace people. People that really know how to use AI and increase their efficiency, those are the people that are going to replace the people who do not know anything about AI. I think what is going to eliminate a lot of these current jobs that we are seeing in Trinidad is there are tools, there are automations, there are processes that businesses could begin implementing within their organizations that would eliminate some of these older roles. But again, with every role that we toss out because, again, we no longer need it, there are new roles that are being created. And people need to understand that you need to be a lifelong learner. You're not going to be able to, skills and things that you learned 20 years ago, we don't need them no longer. And you're going to have to be okay with upskilling yourself because we're seeing a lot of businesses that are holding on to old processes just to accommodate people that have not upskilled to help them in the new era. They don't just want to go and lay them off. So if you're not upskilling, you are holding a lot of these companies back, but most importantly, you're not allowing yourself to continuously being employable in the next iteration of the workforce.
So you don't see AI more or less making the human touch null and void? Because again, I'm seeing AI writing speeches now, I'm seeing AI doing graphics, I'm seeing AI writing even songs. It is scary to see what this artificial intelligence is able to produce at this point in time.
It is. However, there is still a human needed to prompt the AI tool to give it what you want. So this is why, we're talking about new jobs being created. Prompt engineering is a big new job that's being created because AI can only do right now what you are telling it to do, but the human needs to learn exactly how to use AI to get exactly what they want out of it. So there's still a human involved in that entire process.
And do you think that there are companies or people who will prefer the human creativity, the human touch, as opposed to something generated by a computer?
Yes and no. I think that is case by case because the reality is, let's take a look at the airport, right? We talk about this all the time where we go into countries and we don't even have to speak to an immigration person. We go, there's a kiosk, we scan our passport, we are in and out the airport in minutes. Do you want to go back to having to line up and wait an hour in line to speak to the immigration officer? Or would you prefer to, in and out in 2 minutes, use a kiosk? It's, again, we're saving time. And I think as long as people are saving time, or I should say, when people are getting their time back, people prefer that seamless transaction and getting their time back than having to deal with the human where it's not as efficient.
Yeah, understood. As we wrap things up, what advice you tell to companies, employers looking on who are trying to make this employee, make this person wear 6, 7, 8 caps? I mean, the wilding, and we want to stop it. So what do you want to tell them directly this morning?
You are directly contributing to the brain drain that's happening within the entire region when you are not creating an equal and profitable playing field for employment. People no longer have to migrate to leave the Caribbean and work for other companies. We have remote jobs where we can now sit at home live in Trinidad and work for companies externally because people are not getting the job opportunities that make sense locally. So if you want to retain talent and you want your business to grow, you need to learn how to create a job role that makes sense for your company, but also values the people that you are trying to employ. Otherwise, our best talent will continue to leave, whether it's an actual migration or they just stop working for you and they work remotely for companies around the world. The companies have a big responsibility to play in that.
Or I guess even work for yourself. I mean, if that's your skill set and your talent, as you rightfully said, someone could sit here in Trinidad with their laptop, with their PC, and do work for a company in Singapore.
Correct. So again, if the companies in the Caribbean and in Trinidad, if you're continuing to just smush all of these roles together, you're not learning about, what these roles are about and making it make sense for your company and for the people, again, we're never going to retain our top talent. It's impossible.
Keron Rose, Digipreneur, I want to thank you this morning. Great conversation. As per usual, God spare, we do it again next week.
Thank you. See you next week, JW.
That's right. Digipreneur every Tuesday, and we now make that pivot. We segue into our health and wellness discussions, conversations on cancer up next, and then later on, Health Plus. See you soon.